The Flying Gang. A pirate alliance without borders. Picture this: aboard a floating utopia, they sail side by side, black, white, rich, poor, united under one pirate flag. No king. No master. Only freedom. What if I told you this radical alliance truly existed in the early 18th century? This is the story of the Flying Gang, the brotherhood that would cross paths with Black Caesar and change the course of rebellion forever. Chapter 1. The War That Changed Everything, 1701 to 1713. To understand why so many men turned pirate, we must begin with a concept called succession. Succession means who gets to take over when a king dies. In 1701, the Spanish king died without a clear heir. Both France and Austria claimed the throne. That triggered the War of the Spanish Succession. This war wasn't just about kings. It was about control of trade routes, colonies, and power. France and Spain formed one alliance, while Britain, the Dutch, and Austrians opposed them. It raged across Europe and the Americas for 12 brutal years. When peace finally came in 1713 with the Treaty of Utrecht, tens of thousands of sailors, soldiers, and privateers were abandoned. Promised pay never arrived. Letters of service were void. Many were broke, betrayed, and angry. And they still had their weapons. This script picks up shortly after the events in our previous video about Black Caesar, who had just escaped enslavement, joined Blackbeard, and earned a name feared by empires. But now his world was changing, and so was his mission. Chapter 2. The Rise of the Flying Gang, 1713 to 1715. In the power vacuum after the war, an unlikely experiment emerged in the Bahamas. Nassau, once a quiet port, became a pirate republic. Here, white sailors, black escapees, indigenous fighters, and rebellious Europeans came together. They were known as the Flying Gang. This wasn't just a pirate crew. It was a movement. Captains were elected, not born into power. Spoils were shared, regardless of skin color. Slavery was condemned. Many black members had escaped bondage. Cultures blended: languages, food, music, beliefs. Leaders included Benjamin Hornigold, a brilliant naval tactician; Henry Jennings, bold and diplomatic; Black Caesar, no longer just a survivor, now a symbol of what resistance could look like. This was where Caesar's role evolved from legend to revolutionary. Where Black Caesar stood was where the dream of a multiracial alliance lived. Chapter 3. Their Strategy and Tactics. Operating from Nassau, the Flying Gang mastered hit-and-run warfare. They targeted European trade, and especially the Spanish. Hornigold ran sea ambushes with false flags. Jennings struck legal loopholes to raid enemy ships. Caesar led land raids, often freeing enslaved Africans. Tactics included decoy ships, diversion fires, disguised uniforms, use of African maroon intelligence networks. This was the same period Black Caesar was raiding coastal forts in Florida, as seen in our earlier video. But this time, he wasn't alone. He was now part of a machine. Chapter 4. Legendary Raids, 1716 to 1718. 3 legendary strikes showed their power. The Galleon de la Cruz, 1716. A Spanish galleon was hit for 50,000 pounds in gold, equal to $13 million today. Fires were lit as distractions. Caesar's team cut through the ship's hull while others attacked above deck. Andres Mine Ambush, 1717. Using tunnels dug by runaway slaves, Caesar and Jennings struck a silver vault under a Spanish outpost. They detonated handmade bombs and escaped with 10,000 pounds, or $2.5 million USD today. The slave ship liberation, 1718. They stormed a Portuguese slave ship and freed over 200 enslaved Africans, who were later settled in maroon villages. Many joined the pirate ranks. Some say this single act doubled the number of black pirates in Nassau, Chapter 5. Brotherhood Without Borders. The flying gang was united not by race, but by shared trauma and hope. Black captains commanded white sailors. Indigenous warriors brought jungle tactics. Escaped slaves married European women. Children aboard ships grew up speaking Fanti, English, Taino, and French. It wasn't perfect, but it was something the empires feared: unity. Caesar, once a fierce lone fighter, became a unifying voice. To many black sailors, he wasn't just a pirate, he was proof that rebellion was possible. Chapter 6. Cracks in the Brotherhood, 1718. By 1718, cracks began to form. Hornigold accepted a royal pardon and became a pirate hunter. Jennings wanted peace. Caesar wanted justice. Blackbeard, once Caesar's ally, returned to Nassau and tried to take command. From the perspective of a black history lover like me, this moment felt like betrayal. White pirates who had once fought beside us now returned to serve the same empires that had enslaved our brothers. The dream was unraveling. Caesar refused to yield. He believed their cause was greater than gold. He knew what it meant to kneel to a king. He'd once worn chains. Chapter 7. Caesar's Last Stand. In 1718, Britain sent Woodes Rogers to crush Nassau. With him came fleets and pardons. Many pirates surrendered. But Caesar did not. He fled with a group of loyalists and reconnected with Maroon rebels in Jamaica and Saint-Domingue, Haiti. They waged guerrilla warfare, striking plantations, ambushing ships. By 1720, he was surrounded and captured. He was executed. But whispers claim his body was never buried by the British. Instead, Maroon stole it back and buried him as a hero. This moment connects directly to the end of our Black Caesar documentary, where he stood by Blackbeard in their final days. But now we know, Caesar chose a different legacy. Not submission. Revolution. Chapter 8. Legacy of the Flying Gang. Hornigold died hunting his former friends. Jennings vanished. Caesar became legend. The dream they shared, of a world without kings or chains, didn't last. But its echoes survived. In Maroon legends, in Haiti's revolution, in the chants of uprisings across centuries. The Flying Gang, and Caesar among them, built a moment of freedom on stolen land. A rebellion born not of greed, but of dignity. Why this story still matters? The Flying Gang and Black Caesar remind us that freedom isn't granted, it's taken. That alliances across race and class can shake empires. That rebellion doesn't have to be chaos, it can be community. The Stolen Chapters exists to tell these truths. Because history doesn't just live in kings and generals, it lives in the outcasts who dared to dream. Where should we go next? Tell us in the